for June 15th, 2020 at 7:07 p.m., please. We'll go ahead and take we'll go ahead and take a roll call. Councilman Dyack.
Here.
Councilwoman Debbie Lewis. Debbie, we see you. Can you say you're here, please?
I was multitasking, sorry.
So here, Renee.
Here.
Cheryl.
I'm here.
And I, Joshua Rivero, I'm here. Thank you very much. For those of us that have vision sightlines to a Stars and Stripes, please join me in the pledge. I will be looking at Renee's background because I am in an office without one. So please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic
For which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Thank you all very, very much. Next, I will be opening public comment. Actually, I will not be opening public comment. Public comment items that are not on the agenda will be addressed in a manner provided by the Town Administrator Emergency Order number 8-2020. Council, you did receive public comment, 3 items that were sent to you electronically. Please review those and follow up as needed. I appreciate that. Next we'll move into reports, items and comments from Mayor and Council. We'll start with Councilwoman Pogue, please.
I've had no additional meetings since the last meeting.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Williams, please.
Just continue to work with the high needs work group with Douglas County. We had a virtual town hall, which was very well attended. And there's another one coming up. Is it Friday of this week? So I would strongly suggest anybody with any interest attend. That's it.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Lewis, please.
No meetings since last Monday.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Dyack, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Dr. Cog, I chair Dr. Cog, so this week is board week. So I've had some discussions with the executive director regarding the agenda. I've also had discussions because I also chair the Regional Transportation Committee. I also was talking about with the executive director, Region 4 and Dr. Cog community meeting that is coming up here in the next couple of weeks, as well as some state bills regarding Dr. Cog. I was also meeting with Douglas County on COVID-related items and other matters. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilman. Myself, busy. Got a few meetings this week, but mostly small stuff. Just trying to button things up and get some stuff done. Had a meeting with the task force. Had a couple other things going on, but nothing really worth reporting. Thank you all very much. Next, moving on, we will do consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and vote. There will be no specific discussion of a consent agenda items unless council votes to remove an item for individual discussions. Ordinances on consent agenda are for introduction only and will not be removed for discussion. Council, I will entertain a motion to pass, consent agenda items B through G, please. A, I'm sorry.
So moved.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I will entertain a motion for consent agenda items A through B through G, please.
Renee, so moved.
Can I just clarify real quick? That's consent agenda items 4A through H. I think you said G, Mayor Pro Tem.
That's correct. Maloney. A through H. So moved, Renee.
Thank you, Councilwoman Renee. Do I have a second, please?
Second,
So I have a motion from Councilwoman Williams and a second from Councilwoman Lewis. Mr. Dyak, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, how do you vote?
yes.
Councilwoman Williams? You gotta unmute. There we go.
Yes, sorry, yes.
Councilwoman Pogue?
Yes.
And I vote in the affirmative. Motion or consent agenda passes unanimously. All right. Sorry, thank you very much. Moving on to resolutions, items 5A. Before we get into this, I will ask, I'm not, never mind. Strike that. Apologize. Moving on, resolutions, items 5A, 1 and 2. So items 5A, Compark Village South. Item 1, Resolution 20-030, a resolution to amend Resolution number 19-104, Series of 2019, to extend the expiration date of the minor development plat for Compark Village South filing number 1 through December 31st, 2020, and approve the subdivision agreement for Compark Village South filing number 1 and resolution number 20-031, a resolution to amend resolution number 19-105, series of 2019, to extend the expiration date of the final plats for Compark Village South filing number 2 and Compark Village South number 2, amendment number 1 through June 30th, 2021. Alex, take us away, sir.
Well, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. As stated, items 5A1 and 5A2 before you tonight both involve extension requests from the developer of the Compark Village South development. For background, Compark Village South is located between Peoria Street and Chambers Road, south of E470 and north of the Grandview Estates subdivision. Filing number 1 of the development proposes to construct roadways, utilities, intersection improvements, and drainage infrastructure that will serve the future development. Filing number 2 and filing number 2 amendment 1 are proposed as residential developments that are dependent on this infrastructure that will be constructed in filing number 1. Next slide, please. Item 5A1 is in regards to the approvals of the final plat and subdivision agreement for filing number 1, which are currently set to expire on June 30th. This expiration date was last extended by the council back in December to allow the developer time to obtain federal permits necessary to construct drainageway improvements associated with this project. The project team has since obtained this permit back in February. However, the recent economic issues associated with the COVID-19 pandemic have led to problems in the bond market through which the developer intends to fund the infrastructure. The developer has requested a 6-month extension to the filing number 1 approvals in order to allow this market to stabilize to allow funding of the project. As part of the last extension request in December, the developer committed to financially secure and construct an additional segment of Belford Avenue with the filing number 1 project. Belford Avenue is a regional roadway that will provide an additional east-west connection from Peoria over to Chambers. This commitment would be preserved with any additional extension of the project approvals. Next slide, please. This slide, as a refresher, again clarifies the location of the additional segment of Belford that the developer has committed to advance. The segment of the roadway shown in yellow on this slide is what the developer is already obligated to build with filing number 1. This segment stretches from Peoria to about halfway into the Compark Village. The segment of the roadway shown in red is the additional segment that the developer has committed to secure and construct with filing number 1. This segment of Belford would have been constructed with either a future phase of this Compark Village South development or with development of the adjacent property. Tying this additional segment to filing number 1 ensures that a full connection will be made in the near future between Peoria and Chambers. Staff believes this would be a significant benefit to the traveling public should the council see fit to extend this application. Next slide, please. Item 5A2 is in regards to the final plat approvals for filing number 2 and filing number 2 amendment 1, which are set to expire on December 31st of this year. Because these projects cannot move forward until filing number 1 has been constructed, the developer has also requested a 6-month extension to these approvals that will allow time for filing number 1 to proceed. Next slide, please. This final slide summarizes the request before you tonight. Approval of these items would extend the approvals as stated. Denial would require the developer to record filing number 1 by June 30th of this year, after which the approvals would expire and any development on the property would be required to restart the entitlement process. That concludes staff presentation. I'm available for any questions right now. The developer, Michael Vickers, is present tonight, and he has a short presentation for you as well. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Alex. Before we go to Mr. Vickers, I will go through Town Council. If you could raise your hands if you have any questions for Alex before we get to the applicant, please. Seeing none, we will bring in Mr. the one and only Michael Vickers and his presentation, please.
Hello, everyone. Mayor Pro Tem and council members, I appreciate your time. I'm Michael Vickers. I live at 507 Clayton Street in Denver, Colorado, 80206. I'm the developer for the Compark Business Campus, which includes about 500 acres on the north side of E470 and the property that Alex just reviewed with you on the south side. And I'm not sure if I can advance the slides, but you could go ahead if I'm not sure that, okay. So the property, can you see my cursor okay?
Yes, sir.
There we go. So I think everyone hopefully is familiar with the property. This is a vicinity map identifying the overall property. The north side, just for a quick update, we have, if you drive E470, you'll see the beginning of the Etkin Johnson project. They have 160,000 square feet under construction on E470. And we have absorbed, we're now at about 40 acres of remaining inventory on the north side. We also expect that the Ellipsis project, which is an assisted living medical project on the northwest corner of Chambers and E470, will hopefully begin construction later this summer. I talked to them today. So, we're fortunate the north side seems to be moving forward. Etkin Johnson reported today that they are negotiating with an 80,000 square foot tenant for one full building of the two that are now doing work on their space planning. So we're hopeful that that will move forward. Now, subject to hand, as Alex mentioned, and we can advance to the next slide. The south side is we were in front of you, and I do understand the sensitivity to any extensions. We came to you in December in good faith with the idea that we would complete the Green Acres tributary work. At that point, we were at about 60% completed of all of our design work with urban drainage. We're now at 100%. We've spent another $500,000 on that project. The project has been bid. We are ready to move forward. Additionally, and I think very importantly, we have advanced all of our construction to the point where we now have contracts bid from all contractors for the project. Last but not least, we have advanced all of the bond underwriting, which consists of a preliminary limited offering memorandum, which we are, Stiefel Nicholas is our underwriter. And we were fully prepared to go to the market at about this time. But unfortunately, with the COVID delay, the bond market, or the COVID-19 pandemic, the bond market has suffered. And so the bond underwriter has asked us, recommended that we request this extension so that hopefully, in all earnesty, the bond market will come back and settle down and we'll be able to issue the bonds, and we will be ready to move forward as soon as that occurs. So if you advance the slide, as Alex said, our intention, we have $27 million worth of improvements to install, which includes all three of the segments A, B, and segment C1. And I'm not sure if you can see, but segment C2, which is the green portion. We also have maintained our relationship with Century Communities. We're still under contract, and we are expecting them to close on the 2 filing subdivisions, which are all in the first phase of development, essentially simultaneously with our bonds. So because of the bond market, we are contributing. We have spent about the $500,000 of additional money on the Green Acres Trib. We've extended $1.3 million from the to extend outfall sewer from the north side to the south, and we will contribute about $6.5 million from our initial sale. So to date, as a developer, we've invested about $3.5 million, again in good faith to advance this project. And while I'm very understanding of the sensitivity to any extensions, I'm stating this only to show the good faith that we've tried to operate in to maintain the project and keep this moving forward, given that it's a rather complicated and difficult project. Next slide, please. So again, as I just stated, we've requested this request through the end of 2020. Our hope and desire is that it won't take that long. We'd like to think that by July, the end of July, hopefully there won't be another really serious spike that sidelines us all. But given what we know today, our hope is by the end of the summer, we're funded, and we would like to start construction in August. We have our bids in place and our contracts. So next slide, please. I think we've tried to show these milestones that we've accomplished. I've stated them in an earlier, at an earlier slide, but just to repeat, we have finished the 404 individual permit that was received. The design's completed on urban drainage. We have our construction bids, and now we're just really waiting now for the bond underwriting to proceed. Next slide. In closing, I would like to request another 6-month extension. I apologize. It's just been out of our control. I know there's a lot of sensitivity to this, but I believe that it's necessary, and I do believe that we can get this done. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you all might have.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here today, Mr. Vickers. Thank you very much for acknowledging the amount of the extensions. Obviously, we are understanding of the current market. We will go through and I will ask for questions. I'll start with Councilwoman Pogue, please.
I don't have any further questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on, Councilwoman Williams, please.
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Lewis, please.
I'm wondering if it will happen in December before I'm gone.
I sure hope so. I sure hope so. You've seen us since the beginning, so I hope we can kick this off.
Mr. Dyack, sir.
No questions. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
And I have none, and I will open it up. It's going to get a little interesting here, but I would open up to public comment at 7:26. Do I have any questions from the public, please? I am not seeing anything. So moving on, I will entertain a motion to approve. We have 2 resolutions in front of us, council, so I'll need 2 motions, please. The first, a motion to approve resolution number 20-030.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Renee, second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Lewis and a second by Councilwoman Williams. Mr. Dyack, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, please.
Yes.
Ms. Williams, please.
Yes.
Ms. Pogue, please.
Yes.
And I vote in the affirmative also. The resolution 20-030 passes unanimously. Second, I will entertain a motion for resolution number 20-031.
I will motion to approve resolution number 20-031.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Councilwoman Pogue and a second from Councilwoman Lewis. Mr. Dyack, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Ms. Williams, or Ms. Lewis, how do you vote, sir? Ma'am.
Yes.
Ms. Williams, please.
Yes.
And Ms. Pogue?
Yes.
And I vote yes also. Second resolution passes unanimously. Mr. Vickers, best of luck, my friend. We'll see you soon.
I
Get it
sure
done.
appreciate your all's support and your time tonight. And I appreciate, hopefully we'll all get open where I can see in person before too long. Thanks again. All right.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, council. Moving on to ordinances. In front of us, item 6A, ordinance number 5.37.1 on second reading. A bill for an ordinance to amend chapter 4.05 of the Parker Municipal Code regarding unclaimed property. Out of the town attorney's office. Kristen, please.
Hi, thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. Senate Bill 1988 takes effect on July 1, 2020. It adopts the revised Uniform Unclaimed Property Act. This act seeks to promote uniformity among state laws regarding the disposition of unclaimed property. In order for a local government, such as the town of Parker, to opt out from the provisions of the act, the local government must adopt an ordinance relating to the disposition of property, which number 1 requires the town to hold the property for the owner for at least 5 years after it is presumed abandoned under state statute, which is 1 year after the property becomes distributable. And number 2 provides the state treasurer with specified information concerning that property. So presented tonight is ordinance number 5.37.1, which amends chapter 4.05 of the Parker Municipal Code entitled Unclaimed Property to allow for the town to opt out of the provisions of the act. I'm available if there's any questions.
Thank you very much, Kristen. We'll go down. Ms. Pogue, you have unmuted. Do you have a question?
No, I don't.
Okay. Ms. Williams, any questions?
No, thank you.
Ms. Lewis, any questions?
No questions.
And Mr. Dyak?
No questions.
All right, and I have none. I will open it up to public comment. I do not see any in front of me. If there's anybody that would like to speak, please raise your hand or chat. I see none. With that, council, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve ordinance number 5.37.1 on second reading.
I'll second that.
I have a motion from Councilman Dyak and a second from Councilwoman Pogue. Councilwoman Pogue, how do you vote?
Affirmative.
Thank you. Councilwoman Ms. Lewis, or Ms. Williams, apologize.
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Dyak,
Yes.
and I vote aye also, and that motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on. Here, we have item 6B, ordinance number 5.32.4 on second reading. A bill for an ordinance to amend section 10.01.060 of the Park Municipal Code concerning pedestrians on medians and shoulders. Moving on to another member of the town attorney's office, Ms. Nguyen, please.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Good evening, council members. We are here today to present this ordinance on second reading. The prior code provision was previously entitled solicitation on or near a street or highway. We have retitled this provision and have focused on the safety considerations and concerns with respect to pedestrians on medians and shoulders on town roadways. We have dealt with national standards. We have looked at the width of medians based on those national standards and have put forth changes based on those. We are restricting pedestrians on medians which are less than 7 feet in width. Most of those would be at medians near intersections, and the majority of the medians in the town are larger than that 7-foot width. So based on these safety concerns, we are asking that council approve the modifications to this section and accept the new ordinance as drafted. I am open to any questions.
Thank you very much. I will go through questions. Mr. Dyak, sir.
No questions.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis, please.
No questions.
Ms. Williams, please.
No questions?
And Ms. Pogue.
No questions, thank you.
And I have none. Jamie, again, appreciate your thoroughness. Outstanding job. We've obviously discussed this a little bit before it comes to us tonight, so I thank your work on it. Opening it up to public. Do I have any questions from the public? Raise your hand feature if you can. Or I will assume that there are none. I see nothing in the chat. All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment at 19:32. And I would entertain a motion on the ordinance, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 5.32.4 on second reading.
Thank you. And a second?
Second,
I have a motion from Councilman Dyak and a second from Councilwoman Lewis. I will do roll call. Mr. Dyak,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Affirmative.
and I vote aye. That motion passes unanimously. And that closes out. the
Mayor
ordinance-
Pro Tem,
Yes,
one
ma'am.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
In my packet, my ordinance number is 5.32.5, not 4.
Yes, I do see that. Attachments, it says 5, and we passed the motion 0.4. Mr. Maloney, clean it up for us?
I think
In
at this
case you
point,
thought I wasn't paying attention.
I would have someone move to amend the prior motion to put in the correct number.
Okay,
I will move to amend the motion to include the correct ordinance number 5.32.5.
thank you. And a
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Dyak and a second from Ms. Lewis. Individual roll call, Mr. Maloney?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Dyak, sir.
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, please.
Yes,
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Pogue?
Yes.
And I vote aye. That motion, amended motion passes unanimously. All right. Thank you for the catch, Councilwoman Lewis, very, very much. I appreciate that. Moving on to a whole lot meeting. All right. In front of us for public hearings. is Cherry Creek, item 7, public hearing 7A, Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 10, continued from May the 18th, 2020, and continued from June the 4th, 2020. Joining us, and we'll hear from later, is Megan Murphy. The purpose of this public hearing is for the town council to consider a service plan for Cherry Creek Metropolitan District number 10, which is a commercial district and an intergovernmental agreement between the town and the district. Moving on, so we have in front of us tonight, we have resolution number 20-020, a resolution to approve the first amended and restated service plan for the Cherry Creek Metropolitan District number 10. Jim, and I state the ordinance here also?
Yes, sir.
And also, item 2, ordinance number 9.315 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the intergovernmental agreement by and between the town of Parker and the Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 10. All right, I will go to, I apologize, I think I'm going to staff. Kristen?
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem. In October 2004, the Town Council approved the Consolidated Service Plan for Cherry Creek South Metropolitan Districts numbers 2 through 11. At the time of the approval of that original service plan, it was anticipated that the Cherry Creek districts would collectively undertake the financing and construction of the public improvements. However, as a result of the sale of the property to differing interests with differing development plans, it is no longer feasible or practicable for the Cherry Creek districts to operate under the original service plan. In 2016, the Town Council approved an amended and restated consolidated service plan for districts number 2 and 3, and they now operate independently from districts numbers 4 through 11. Tonight, first, we're going to hear a presentation on district number 10, which is the commercial district. It has submitted an application to amend and restate its service plan. The plan is submitted and processed under the recently approved Metropolitan District policies, and that service plan is in conformance with the model service plan and model intergovernmental agreement that was approved at that time. Attached to the staff report is a analysis, a summary memo detailing all of the relevant information in our analysis of the service plan and the intergovernmental agreement. Here with us tonight is Megan Murphy from White Bear, Ankley, Tenaka, and Waldron to present on district number 10 and then later on the remaining districts. So I'll turn it over to her.
Thanks, Kristen. Thanks for that introduction. Do I screen share or do you guys screen share? You must do it.
Yes.
Here we go.
Megan, if we could you state your obviously your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Megan Murphy. I live at 15834 East Otero Avenue, Centennial 80112.
Thank
just
you.
north of Compark Village South that you just approved. This is the presentation for district number 10. Next slide, please. Here's a vicinity map showing you the area for all of the districts, districts 4 through 11. Next slide. Here's the map showing each individual district. Number 10 is at the top there in the blue and white stripe. It spans both sides of the project and it's going to be just commercial development. Next slide, please. Here's some great background information that Kristen Hoffman just read for you guys, so you'll know it very well by now. This is a service plan for number 10. Next, I'll be bringing you service plans for 4 through 9 and 11. These are not new service plans. These are amended and restated service plans. So you're not approving new projects, just service plans that actually match what we're going to be doing. Next slide, please. The amended service plan is going to be for all of these projects tonight. So each one is asking for approval for its own amended service plan and own IGA with the town. Next slide, please. This is a comparison chart that shows you what these new service plans on your new town model look like compared to the current service plan. Now keep in mind 2004 was a long time ago, so those costs are very old. You've adopted a new model service plan and the project's just entirely different than what was imagined when it was 2 through 11. In the case of district number 10, we have veered off of your model on the debt limit. Your service plan has a formula that would create a much higher debt limit than $10 million. We've veered off of that formula based on advice from staff and talking to the development team, because right now we have costs substantiated for about $5 million. The rest of the items on here are in conformance with your model, the max mill levy debt imposition term, maximum debt mill levy, and the other operations and capital mill levies. Next slide, please. This is the infrastructure capital mill levy. It's a new concept from your service plan, your new model service plan. Here's what we would be using it for. Oak Gulch regional drainage, as well as a lot of roadway improvements for this project. Right now it's a beautiful field before we get for the reservoir, and we're going to need a lot of internal and arterial roads. Next slide, please. This is the town capital and maintenance mill levy. Remember, this goes to you guys, the town, to fund regional improvements. It's going to include the widening of Chambers Road. Next slide, please. Operations and maintenance mill levy stays with the district, so it can operate and maintain improvements within its boundaries, including streets, open space, landscaping, irrigation. Next slide, please. Here's the criteria for your finding tonight. You need to find that there's existing and projected need for service within this area. The current services aren't adequate. District 10 can provide these services in an economical and sufficient manner, and District 10 will have the financial ability to discharge the proposed indebtedness. Next slide, please. The benefits of approving this. This current service plan from 2004 with extra districts is just simply out of date. It's not on your new model. This new service plan also has the benefit of imposing the regional and town mill levies that allow the districts to fund more improvements. And district will be able to provide ongoing operations and maintenance for this project. That's the end of the show.
Excellent.
Happy to answer any questions.
That was very, very efficient. I will definitely, we'll go for questions, but thank you, Ms. Murphy. That was well done. So we'll go from, we had staff presentation, obviously, and then we had applicant presentation. We will go now to questions from council before we get into public comment. I will start with Ms. Pogue, please.
I have no comment on a municipal metropolitan district for commercial areas.
Thank you, ma'am. I will go to Ms. Lewis, or Ms. Williams, please.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis, please.
No questions.
And Mr. Dyack.
No questions.
And I have none. Thank you for the incredible presentation by both the applicant and by our own staff. I will now open up public comment. This is a time where citizens are encouraged to speak publicly. The use of video conference technology can be challenging when inviting public comment. Therefore, to help us proceed in an organized fashion, we request that you use the chat feature to indicate you would like to speak. After selecting chat from this menu, please type your name and address. If your name is different than how you are shown on Zoom, please also include your identifier so we can unmute the correct microphone. We will acknowledge speakers in an order that they are received. When you are acknowledged for your turn to speak, we request that you introduce yourself by stating your name, address, and speak respectfully. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes. And with that, we open public comment at 7:43. Do I have any comment from the public? I see nothing in my chat window. We're gonna just bear with us here.
Josh, this is Danette.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem Rivero. Could you please ask the attendees to raise their hands as another option? Thank you.
Thank you. Attendees, if you'll notice at the bottom of the participants list on the right side, if you press participants at the bottom of your screen, there is a raise hand function. If you could identify or hit the raise hand, and we will go that route. All right, I've got one. I recognize, oops. I just lost Tompkins, maybe. I recognize Kristen Tompkins for public comment, please.
Sorry, that was an error. I did not mean to click that.
Okay.
I am just viewing, and I agree Megan did a great job on her presentation.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here and enjoy the viewing. Do we have
Thanks,
any
boss.
All right. I see no public comment, and with that, I will close public comment at 7:44 and open for debate and discussion of evidence among mayor and council members. Council, any questions? We already went through. I see none. We got public comment, but this is not pertaining to this item. Okay, council, any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we have 2 items in front of us. I have resolution 20-020 and ordinance number 9.15. I will entertain motions on those items, council.
I move to approve resolution number 20-020.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilman Dyak and a second from Councilwoman Lewis. Mr. Dyak, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Ms. Williams or Ms. Lewis, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Pogue, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote aye. Resolution passes unanimously. I will entertain a motion on the ordinance, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.315 on second reading.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Dyak and a second from Councilwoman Lewis. Mr. Dyak, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Pogue, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote aye. The ordinance, excuse me, passes unanimously. Moving on, we have item number 7B. Metropolitan Districts numbers 4 through 9 and 11, continued from May the 18th, 2020, and continued from June the 4th, 2020. We open the public hearing at, just lost my clock, 1946. The purpose of this public hearing is for the town council to consider service plans for the Cherry Creek Metropolitan Districts 4 through 9 and 11, which are residential metropolitan districts, and intergovernmental agreements between the town and the districts. Councilwoman Pogue has declared conflict of interest and is disqualified from participating in any matter before the town concerning residential metropolitan districts, which includes the public hearing item 7B. Councilmember Pogue will now please turn off her camera and microphone.
Mayor Pro Tem, I have a comment to make and I want to read a statement.
Mr. Maloney.
Certainly, if Councilmember Pogue has a statement she wants to read on the conflict of interest, I think it would be appropriate to hear it now.
Thank you. I get
All right.
Councilwoman Pogue, you have the floor.
Okay, tonight Town Council is voting on 2 separate service plans for residential metro districts and for the establishment of the adopted mill levy of 77 mills for Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District 4.9 and 11, or 4 through 9 and 11, and the Meadowlark Metro District at this point. I believe that in accordance with section 3.4, conflict of interest, Parker Town Charter, amended by special election 11-398, I do not have a conflict of interest with the vote tonight on the metro districts I just mentioned. Accordingly, I, Cheryl Pogue, do not have a material or significant financial interest, direct or indirect, or any conflict of interest with the above subject subdivisions or metro districts. I do not have any other concerns for these issues other than the common public interest. Furthermore, at this point, I will not recuse myself from this vote and will not leave the session. I submit to Town Council the following issues on this matter. First, I, Cheryl Pogue, do not have a material or significant financial interest, direct or indirect, or any conflict of interest on the above subject subdivisions or proposed metro district. I do not have any other current concerns for these issues other than common public interest. My public comment in February 2020, in which I stated I would have a concern supporting the 77 mill levy rate for unoccupied homes in new developments, is a statement for the common public interest and nothing more. Town Attorney Mr. Maloney declared that I, Cheryl Pogue, had a conflict of interest on this matter, and simply because I uttered those words in public at a February 2020 meeting. The Town Attorney Jim Maloney arbitrarily and capriciously recommends the application of the conflict of interest rules to systematically remove town council members from a vote based on his personal opinion and of what constitutes a conflict of interest. Fact of actual conflict of interest from the town council member themselves. As stated before, I have no material or significant financial interest. I do not have any other concerns for these issues other than the common public interest. The current conflict of interest policy for the town of Parker, section 3.4, should be rewritten overall. It is poorly written and is now allowing the town attorney, Jim Maloney, to be able to systematically and without actual bias accuse council members of conflict of interest on town council voting matters. Voters of Parker should be concerned that the town attorney, Jim Maloney, is stifling public discussion of public matters and declaring those matters a conflict of interest when they do not align with his personal view and opinion on the issues before the board. This is an abuse of power by the town attorney in his attempts to stop me, Cheryl Pogue, from voting on the issues tonight related to metropolitan districts and mill levies. The conflict of interest policy, as it is now written, does not closely align with the state of Colorado's conflict of interest policies for the state Senate. This current and poorly written conflict of interest policy for section 3.4 of the town of Parker charter can and will affect all voting members of the town council now and going forward on all issues for decision and vote before the council. I propose that our current conflict of interest policy 3.4 be rewritten by outside legal counsel and should more closely align with the Colorado Senate conflict of interest policy. The voters of Parker, Colorado should not be pleased to learn that our current conflict of interest policy for the town of Parker in section 3.4, as written, undermines the duty of our elected officials on town council to voice their concerns on an issue of common public interest and to vote in matters in their official duties. I wish to thank Town Council for listening to my concerns, and I hope in the spirit of these comments, we can come together in a future session to discuss these matters for the good of our town and as our duties of, as elected officials to the town of Parker.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councilwoman Pogue. I will remind the council that Councilwoman Pogue recused herself and conflicted herself in further discussion. And I will now go to Jim Maloney, please.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The minutes of the March 16, 2020 council meeting reflect that Councilmember Pogue voluntarily recused herself concerning any matter involving a metropolitan district in the town of Parker that concerned residential development. That was a determination that was made voluntarily by Councilmember Pogue after discussing the issue with mayor and council. This was not a decision that the town attorney made. The town attorney is simply an advisor, and a voluntary decision was made. I believe the basis for that decision is centered on the fact that there is an established policy adopted by a resolution which creates a model service plan and establishes mill levy caps as a part of that model service plan. Councilmember Pogue stated that she did not agree with those mill levy caps as established by council resolution, and that she could not vote for a residential metropolitan district so long as those caps were in place. When you approve a metropolitan district or an amendment to a metropolitan district service plan, that requires notice and public hearing. That is a quasi-judicial proceeding. When you're acting as a council member, you are acting as a judge. And as a judge, you have to apply the law as written. If you don't like the law, you change the law. But you, Councilmember Pogue, as a judge, indicated you could not follow the law. And as a result, you made the decision yourself that you would recuse yourself. This is not a decision made by the town attorney's office. Town attorney's office does not set the policy concerning service plans for metropolitan districts. That was approved by mayor and council. The town attorney's office does not set the law related to due process and the concepts associated with quasi-judicial proceedings. You were voted to uphold the laws of the town of Parker. You decided you cannot uphold the laws of town of Parker with regard to residential metropolitan districts. Based upon your decision, you voluntarily recused yourself. Town council can certainly pass a motion now to make it official, but that's a decision that has to be made by town council. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Loney, thank you very, very much. If I could, Councilwoman Pogue, are you wishing to unrecuse yourself?
I am, because at this point in time, at that meeting, I was told that I could either recuse myself or town council would declare me in conflict of interest over an issue that is clearly an issue of public interest, period.
Thank you, Councilwoman Pogue. Town council, if you would, please bear with me. I would like to read a motion into the record, please. I move that Councilwoman Cheryl Pogue has a conflict of interest concerning any application for a service plan or service plan amendment for a residential metropolitan district, and that Councilwoman Pogue should be disqualified from participating in any matter of the town concerning residential metropolitan districts because item number 1, Councilwoman Pogue's conflict of interest impedes the independence of judgment. Number 2, Councilwoman Pogue's participation will negatively affect the public's confidence in the integrity of this town council. Number 3, Councilmember Pogue's participation is likely to have a significant negative effect on the ultimate disposition of the matter. And item 4, Councilmember Pogue has a fiduciary duty to be impartial, and she is obligated to avoid participating in matters when there is a personal interest that may conflict with, influence, or be perceived by the public as influencing Councilmember Pogue's conduct. The basis of this motion is a statement made by Councilwoman Pogue that she cannot approve residential metropolitan districts, which statement constitutes prejudgment and a demonstration that she will not be able to be fair and impartial. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second from Renee.
I have a motion and a second. I will move to roll call. Mr. Dyak, how do you vote on the motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. First thing, before I vote, I would like to maybe revisit this discussion either in executive session or a study session. That's at the pleasure of the town attorney and what is the best form. I'd also like to Councilmember Pogue's point, also revisit our conflict of interest policy. And again, getting back to the motion, based on Councilmember Pogue's previous conflict, I have no choice but by her own words to vote in favor of this.
Ms. Williams, or I'm sorry, Ms. Lewis, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Pogue, how do you vote?
No.
Nope. Thank you. Sorry.
Councilmember Pogue cannot vote on her own conflict.
Thank you. Sorry. And I, Mayor Pro Tem Rivero, vote aye. The motion passes passes unanimously with
Abstention.
With one abstention from Councilmember Pogue. Thank you, Councilmember Pogue. If I could ask you please to leave the meeting. Okay. Thank you all for your patience on that. We will get back into the business here. I'm going to, let's see, I read through her declared conflict. She has now been conflicted by council. I'm going to read the resolutions and ordinances. Bear with me. We've got a few in front of us, Ms. Murphy. And then we'll come back for the presentation. So in front of us today are resolution number 20.021, a resolution to approve the first amended and restated service plan for Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 4. B2, ordinance number 9.309 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the intergovernmental agreement by and between the town of Parker and the Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 4. Item B3, a resolution number 20-020, a resolution to approve the first amended and restated service plan for the Cherry Creek South Metropolitan Districts number 5. Item number B4, ordinance number 9.310 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve intergovernmental agreement by and between the town of Parker and Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 5. B5, resolution number 20-023, a resolution to approve the first amended and restated service plan for Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 6. Item B6, ordinance number 9.311 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the intergovernmental agreement by and between the town of Parker and the Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 6. Item B7, resolution number 20-024, a resolution to approve the first amended and restated service plan for the Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 7. Item B8, ordinance number 9.312 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the intergovernmental agreement by and between the town of Parker and the Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 7. Item B9, resolution number 20-025, a resolution to approve the first amended and restated service plan for the Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 8. Item B10, ordinance number 9.313 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the intergovernmental agreement by and between the town of Parker and the Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 8. Item B11, resolution number 20-026, a resolution to approve the first amended and restated service plan for the Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 9. Item B12, ordinance number 9.314 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the intergovernmental agreement by and between the town of Parker and the Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 9. Item B13, resolution number 20-027, a resolution to approve the first amended and restated service plan for the Cherry Creek South Metropolitan District number 11. And lastly, item number B14, ordinance number 9.316 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the intergovernmental agreement by and between the town of Parker and the Cherry Creek South Metropolitan Districts. Thank you. And with that, I turn it over to, I don't know who I'm turning it over to. Kristen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem. I will not go back through the history of these districts as it's the same as what I went through for district number 10. These are the residential districts that are seeking an amended and restated service plans. I will say that the plans are submitted and processed under the recently approved metropolitan district policies and are in compliance with the model service plans. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Megan to provide the details in her PowerPoint.
Thank you both. And Mayor Pro Tem, maybe a drink of water in order. That was a lot of resolutions there. I'm Megan Murphy, 15834 East Hero Avenue, Centennial, Colorado, 80112. This is a presentation for districts 4 through 9 and 11. Next slide, please. Do I click it? No.
No, I click it. It's just stuck for just a moment. If you'll just give me one moment.
No
please.
problem. No problem. I'm a first-time webinarer, so didn't know if it was me.
Sorry, I apologize. It's clearing my throat. Where are we? I apologize.
We saw the start of the slideshow. It got paused for technical difficulties. Now we're just sitting in this public hearing here.
Okay.
And Jeanette's waiting on me to help her.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay, great.
Council, while we wait, do we have any questions off the top for Ms. Murphy or staff? Oh, where we go.
Great. Here we are. Okay, same site as the previous presentation. Next slide. Same map, except we're talking about everything except district number 10 right now. Next slide, please. Here's the background information you got in the previous presentation. Next slide. This is going to be service plans for 4 through 9 and 11. Again, as a reminder, these are amended and restated service plans, so not brand new service plans, just coming onto your town model, and they are separate service plans. That's how we got to 14 resolutions and ordinances. Next slide, please. So the projects can be thought of in kind of two groups, 4 through 6 and 7 through 9 and 11. So this first slide shows the debt limit for 4 through 6 on the amended model service plan, and that debt limit is based on the town formula that's part of your model. The cost of public improvements is about 142 million. All the rest of the information down there is in conformance with the model, the 57 mills, the 10 mills for O&M, infrastructure, town mill levies are 5 each. Next slide. This shows the second kind of grouping of projects, 7 through 9 and 11. They have less in the way of public improvements, but also less in the way of debt, again, based on the town's formula. The rest of these numbers are in conformance with the model service plan. And remember, the first service plan's from 2004, so the costs are old. It envisioned a totally different project with districts 2 through 11. So this will bring the service plans in line with what's actually going to happen out there. Next slide, please. These slides are the same as the District 10 slides. The regional improvements that all these districts will be funding are identical for all of them. So just a reminder that if you approve the service plans tonight, the districts will be imposing additional mills to fund regional improvements. Next slide, please. Here's the town capital and maintenance mill levy. Remember, this goes to you guys to help fund improvements, including the widening of Chambers Road. Next slide, please. This is the operations and maintenance mill levy. This is the one the district keeps to fund operations and maintenance inside the project. Next slide, please. Remember the sufficient and existing need for the project. There isn't service out there right now. These districts are capable of providing service, and they will have the financial ability to discharge the proposed indebtedness. Next slide, please. Please approve these amended and restated service plans tonight. The current service plan just doesn't match the project at all. The amended service plans are in compliance with your model, and remember the mill levies that help fund regional improvements as part of your model. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very, very much. I will go to, let's see, Mr. Dyack, any questions, sir?
Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Actually, I just have a very high level question for our town attorney. Jim, with the presentation here and our narrative with Councilmember Pogue, I just want to ensure that this presentation or all of these resolution and ordinance motions are consistent with our current laws that are on the books.
I can confirm, yes, that is true.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Dyack. Ms. Williams, any questions, ma'am?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis, any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. And I have done another excellent presentation. With that, I would like to open up public comment at 8:08. Again, this is a time where citizens are encouraged to speak publicly. The use of video conference technology can be challenging when inviting public comment. Therefore, to help us proceed in an organized fashion, we request that you use the raise hand feature in Zoom to indicate you would like to speak. If you dialed in by phone, please press star 9 to raise your hand to speak. When you're acknowledged for your turn to speak, we request that you introduce yourself by stating your name and address and speak respectively. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes. With that, I see our first participant I recognize is Ms. Laura Hefta. Yes, ma'am, please.
Yes. Hello, council members, town attorney, development presenters. My name is Laura Hefta. I live at 18236 Shadberry Lane, Parker, Colorado, 80134. And my question does go to what are exactly the proposed mill levy for these properties? I've been following this issue closely, and it does appear that for properties, say back in 2011 to 15, the mill levies for many properties around the town of Parker were somewhere in the 35-40 range, and I am thinking that these mill levies now seem to be in excess of 70 mills. Is that correct? Could you please explain why exactly these mill levies are so high?
Thank you, Ms. Hefta. I'm sorry, are you done? I'm sorry, ma'am.
Yes, I would like an answer for that. Thank you for anyone that could answer.
We are definitely going to get all the answers, and we're going to get that at the end. So I'm going to go through and let public comment come. Staff and myself will be taking notes, and we'll address each question at the end of public comment. So we have one. Do I have any other public comment, please? I'm going to go slow here, folks, and just make sure that everybody has an opportunity to raise hand or chime in on chat. Oops, I do have 2 new messages here. So Laura, we addressed. Thank you. All right. Seeing no other public comment, I will close public comment at 8:11 p.m. And staff, if we could get an answer or a little bit of description to Ms. Hefta and the rest of the public as to the differences in the mill levies back in '04 versus now, please.
Sure. So I can tell you how the breakdown of the mill levies are for this project. It's going to be 77 mills total. that they're seeking under this service plan that's comprised of 55 mills for debt service. It's what we call the maximum debt mill levy. It's subject to a mill levy adjustment. There's also 10 mills for operations and maintenance, and I believe Megan had a slide on those items that those mills would be used for. That's called the operations and maintenance mill levy. There's 5 mills that's allowed for regional infrastructure, and that is called the infrastructure capital mill levy in the service plan. And then there are 5 mills that's remitted to the town. So we call that the town capital and maintenance mill levy. And that is to be used for specified projects by the town. And there was a slide on that as well that we could pull back up if council wants to see that again.
Yes, if we could bring those slides back up when we get a second here, just so for edification of council and the public, please.
And I would say that the difference between projects, say 10, 15 years ago, and the difference in this mill levy is due to the fact that the debt service mill levy is higher. The infrastructure costs on this project are significant, as well as this project is now also having to remit the town capital and maintenance mill levy, which is an additional 5 mills. Yes, so there is the, can you go to the next slide, Danette?
One more for the improvements.
Yeah, one more. So this is the infrastructure capital mill levy. This is what the district will be using the 5 mills for. We call it the infrastructure capital mill levy. There are only specified things that they can use it for, and these are those things are primarily street improvements. Chambers Road being a significant one. And then go to the next slide. So this is the town capital and maintenance mill levy. We receive 5 mills that the district remits to the town, and we are restricted in our use of those funds. And it is to these 5 items that we can use those funds. Primarily, the widening of Chambers Road is probably the most significant on there, but they're all significant infrastructure costs that both the district and the town will have to undertake for this very, very large development.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate those answers. All right, going back through council, Mr. Dyack, sir, questions?
Yeah, I mean, just more of a statement to kind of follow through. We've had some discussions in the past regarding how construction costs have far surpassed regular CPI. We have also, as elected officials, heard from existing citizens how they want development to pay their own way, and with that, you want to burden the new development with the cost that the new development incurs. So with that, you have the mills as you see. So that is it. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you very much. I will go to Councilwoman Lewis, please. Excuse me.
I don't have any questions, but Councilmember Dyack, I like that quick analysis.
Councilwoman Williams, please.
No questions, just development should pay its own way. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, and I have no questions. Mr. Maloney, a point of order, if I could. Can I reopen public comment?
At this point, you have heard from council, which have asserted their positions based upon the information that was provided during public presentation.
Okay.
Certainly, if you want to open it back up, then I think you need to get additional comments from council again.
Okay. So council, we have one participant that has raised her hand again. I will reopen public comment. And after I reopen public comment, I will close it and I will come back to you for a statement, please. So reopening public comment at 8:16 p.m. And I will identify or recognize Laura Hefta, please.
Yes, this is Laura Hefta again at 18236 Shadberry Lane, Parker, Colorado. And just for the record, I believe some of what I said was misstated. So just to correct, I stated that the mill levies between around 2011 and up were about 35 mills per the new community. I did not state that I mentioned anything in 2004. So the comment about the mill levies needing to be upped 10 to 15 years ago is incorrect. I stated that the mill levies were about 35 mills per new development in 2011 on up. I would also like to state for the record that those mill levies now in 2020 are probably double from around that time in less than a 10-year span. I would also like to state that I don't have any problem with growth, paying for growth, but I do think that these communities have significant mill levies now if they're above 70 or if they're around 75 for these new communities. Growth should pay for growth. However, the developer and the property managers on that have also a duty to get those mill levies down in an accurate manner, lower than what they are at above 70 right now. That seems very excessive to me, even though growth is supposed to pay for growth. And so I would just like to state that for the record, that it does seem excessive within less than a 10-year span. And so as a concerned citizen, I do appreciate how hard people have worked, but I do think that some of these developers can work a little bit harder to get those mill levies down as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hefta. I appreciate that. And with those statements, I will close public comment.
May I say something?
Yes, please. I'll open up to Ms. Murphy, please.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, tonight's a little different. We'll do it a little bit different tonight. So go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify that the 2004 date is the date of these districts' existing service plan. So that's specific to this project. And just a reminder that the mill levies are set on the town council's town approved model service plan. These are amended and restated projects which have been around and been on tax certs since 2004. So there's a ton of disclosure information going back for some time now about these specific projects. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the clarification, I appreciate that statement. Yes, I apologize. When I spoke of 2004, I was stating the original mill levies for this project, and I'm sorry that got assumed that I was speaking for somebody. Sorry about that, Ms. Hefta. So with that, I will go back through council for additional or other comments. Mr. Dyack, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I guess my only question is probably to is that, I guess my thoughts or my question is, how do we arrive at this millage? I think we've had it as elected officials in the past, but going through identifying projects, identifying costs, rolling it up to what millage it should be, and it be noticed to potential buyers. Could you go a little in more detail as to really how do we get from the ground floor to 77 mills? Would that be possible in a very quick time frame?
Thank you, Mr. Dyack. Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. Who would like to tackle that?
I guess I'm confused because I did go through how the mills add up to 77. Are you asking more about the financial plan? Okay, then I'm going to turn that over to Megan to talk about the financial plan, and that's how they get to, like, for example, the debt limit.
Yeah, thanks, Kristen. So hopefully this answers the question if I'm following the ball. You, the town, not you individually, but you, the town, adopted a model service plan. Then that model service plan, you have the different mill levies that Kristen went over in detail. You also have a formula for calculating the debt limit. The formula does a lot of math that's above my pay grade about coverage ratios, etc. And that's how we get to the numbers for the debt limit. There's a financial plan and the service plan that's in your meeting packet. It's many, many pages. I don't have the ability to screen share, so I'm sorry I can't take you to that page. But that's approved based on the model service plan, run by your underwriter, DA Davidson, and checked by town staff that it's accurate. So that's how we go from 0 to the debt limit. The mill levies we get because you adopted a policy that said these specific mills had to be imposed, and those are the mills we're proposing. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, and I think in the past when this issue has come up, there was sort of a question or a concern that say metro districts are effectively run or owned, if you will, at least initially by developers. The thought or the concern is that they could potentially put in additional projects or pad the numbers, if you will, to put in a windfall which they can extricate from the special district before they turn it over to the rank and file homeowners. Could you maybe speak to that a little bit and go through that process to ensure maybe some of the concerns out there?
Am I allowed to answer that, or that's to you?
I can address that, or Megan. I mean, so the way when we get a service plan into review, the district submits the list of improvements that they need for the project, and our engineering staff, usually Alex, reviews all of those improvement costs to make sure that they are legitimate and reasonable costs for those projects. He's well aware of it because he's also working on those same identified project costs on the development side. And so he lets us know, and there's a back and forth between the district about, I need more information on your sewer tap fees. I need more information on these landscaping costs. And there's a back and forth between staff and the district about the costs that they're claiming under the financing plan. And so we make sure that those costs are reasonable. And then at the same time, DA Davidson is running the analysis on the mill levy and being able to support the debt limit to pay for those costs. And we make sure that they are falling, around each other so that you don't have, for example, in District 10, the previous service plan we looked at, the debt limit could have been much higher, but there just weren't improvement costs on that project to support a debt limit that was many, many, many times over the amount of costs. So staff advised that they didn't need a debt limit that large. It was out of balance. So that is the way this process works before it comes to you. Megan, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I will say that Alex and Kristen reviewed these costs in detail, and we did many rounds of edits on these capital costs, and they have been substantiated based on the engineer's estimates from Redlands. And regarding District 10, staff cautioned us that we should ask for a lower debt limit because the cost didn't support it, as Kristen said. And we were here tonight doing that, and that item has been approved. I just want to keep the focus on the Cherry Creek South project. I know there's a lot of information about metro districts generally, mill levies generally. Tonight in this public hearing for this project and these specific service plans, just a reminder that these are on your models in compliance with the debt limit calculated according to the town's formula with costs that have been reviewed by both the town and Redlands.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Thank you again, Kristen. Debbie, any questions, please?
No, sorry.
Nope. Renee, any questions?
I think you said Renee, right, Josh?
Yes, please. Sorry.
No questions, but I just want to reiterate for the public that prior to this coming before us tonight, we have had numerous council discussions and study sessions regarding mill levies and how they're formatted and what's appropriate, and that this isn't something that we take lightly. It's something that we have studied to the nth degree prior to it getting to this point. And staff, I think you've done a great job. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Renee, and I will leave it at that. That was well stated. Appreciate all the comments offered and the staff testimony. With that, Council, we have a workload in front of us. I will need an individual motion on each resolution and ordinance, and we will do roll call vote on each resolution and ordinance. So take it away.
I move to approve resolution number 20-021.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Dyack and a second from Ms. Lewis. Mr. Dyack, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
And I vote aye. Resolution 20-021 passes unanimously. Next, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.309 on second reading.
Renee seconds.
I have a motion from Ms. Lewis and a second from Ms. Williams. Mr. Dyack, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
I vote aye. Ordinance number 9.309 passes unanimously. Next, please.
I move to approve. I
Go
move
ahead.
to approve resolution number 20-022.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Williams, a second from Ms. Lewis. Mr. Dyack, sir.
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
And I vote aye. Resolution 20-022 passes unanimously. Next, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.310 on second reading.
Second from Renee.
I have a motion from Mr. Dyack, a second from Renee. Mr. Dyack, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
I vote aye. Ordinance 9.310 passes unanimously. Next, please.
I move to approve resolution number 20-023.
Second from Renee.
I have a motion from Ms. Lewis and a second from Ms. Williams. Mr. Dyack, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
And I vote aye. Resolution 20-23 passes unanimously. Next, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.311 on second reading.
Second from Renee.
I have a motion from Mr. Dyack and a second from Ms. Renee. Mr. Dyack, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
And I vote aye. Motion passes unanimously. Ordinance number 9.311 passes unanimously. Next, please.
I move to approve resolution number 20-024.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Williams and a second from Ms. Lewis. Mr. Dyack, sir.
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
And I vote aye. Resolution number 20-024 passes unanimously. Changing the page to item 8. I'll entertain a motion, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.312 on second reading.
Second from Renee.
I have a motion from Ms. Lewis and a second from Ms. Williams. Mr. Dyack, sir.
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, please.
Yes.
Ms. Williams, please.
Yes.
And I vote aye. Ordinance 9.312 passes unanimously. Next, please.
I move to approve resolution number 20-025.
Second from Renee.
I have a motion from Ms. Lewis and a second from Ms. Williams. Mr. Dyack, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
And I vote aye. Resolution 20-025 passes unanimously. Next, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.313 on second reading.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Williams and a second from Mr. Dyack. Mr. Dyack, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, please.
Yes.
Ms. Williams, please.
Yes.
And I vote aye. Ordinance number 9.313 passes unanimously. Next, resolution number 20-26. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved, Renee.
Second.
I have a motion to approve resolution number 20-26 from Ms. Williams, second from Ms. Lewis. Mr. Dyak, how do you vote, sir?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, how do you vote?
yes,
Ms. Williams?
yes,
And I vote aye. Resolution 20-26, excuse me, passes unanimously. Next, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.314 on second reading.
second,
I have a motion for Ms. Williams and a second from Ms. Lewis. Mr. Dyak, sir.
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
yes,
Ms. Williams?
Yes,
And I vote aye. Ordinance number 9.314 passes unanimously. Next, please.
I move to approve resolution number 20-027.
second,
I have a motion for Ms. Williams and a second from Ms. Lewis. Mr. Dyak, please.
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
yes,
Ms. Williams?
Yes,
And I vote aye. Resolution number 20-027 passes unanimously. And lastly, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.316 on second reading.
Second.
second,
I have a motion for Ms. Williams, a second from Mr. Dyak. Mr. Dyak, sir.
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, please.
yes,
Ms. Williams?
Yes,
And I vote aye. Ordinance number 9.316 passes unanimously. I thank you to all involved. I appreciate your patience on getting it started there. I appreciate all of your hard work, Ms. Murphy, obviously town staff, everybody included, town attorneys, obviously engineering, community planning, everybody. It's a huge effort. This has been a long time coming, to say the least. Again, and I want to restate what council stated, this is not something we take lightly. This is something that has been thoroughly vetted by all of staff twice, 3 times, and then obviously in front of council. So thank you everybody for your hard work. Moving on, we'll open public hearing for item C, Meadowlark Metropolitan District. The purpose of this public hearing is for town council to consider a service plan for the Meadowlark Metropolitan District, which is a residential district, and an intergovernmental agreement between the town and the district. Mr. Maloney, point of clarification, the declaration of conflict of interest is still standing, or do I have a motion here that carries? How should I read that in, sir?
I think at this point, you need to indicate that town council determined that Councilmember Pogue has a conflict of interest concerning residential metropolitan districts, and the Meadowlark Metropolitan District proposal before you this evening is a residential metropolitan district.
Thank you. With that, earlier tonight, council determined that Councilmember Pogue had a conflict of interest with residential metropolitan districts, and before us today is hearing item 7B, which is Meadowlark Metropolitan District, and thus she was conflicted. Thank you very much. I will now read in the resolution and the ordinance. Before us, resolution number 20-032, a resolution to approve amended restated service plan for Meadowlark Metropolitan District, and item 2, ordinance number 9.317 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the amended and restated a bill for ordinance to approve and amend the restated intergovernmental agreement by and between the town of Parker and Meadowlark Metropolitan District. Thank you very much. Take it away, Kristen.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The Town Council first approved the service plan for Meadowlark Metropolitan District in 2018. The district is now seeking to amend and restate its service plan to conform to the town's updated special district policy and model service plan. As part of that process, the district is also seeking to amend and restate its intergovernmental agreement with the town. An analysis of the service plan and intergovernmental agreement are attached. You'll note that this is a residential metropolitan district. They're anticipating 267 residential units. That becomes important because you'll note that the mill levy, as opposed to the previous service plans we just heard, will only total 72 mills. And that's comprised of 57 mills for debt service, 5 mills for operation and maintenance, 5 mills for regional infrastructure, and then the 5 mills that's to be remitted to the town as the town capital maintenance mill levy. Their debt limit they are seeking is just under 27 million with improvement costs of over 15 million. And we have Paula Williams here to do a presentation. She represents the district.
Thank you very much. Ms. Williams, if you'd like to go ahead and get started by stating your name and address, please.
Great, thank you very much. Paula Williams, 450 East 17th Avenue, Denver, Colorado, 80203. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. As Kristen stated, this is pertaining to the Meadowlark Metropolitan District, and it's a request for a service plan amendment. Next slide, please. I'm present. My name is Paula Williams. Glenn Neer is also on the phone, so he can, I guess, always raise his hand. He is one of the developer representatives. Next slide, please. As Kristen stated, this district was formed in 2018. It is comprised of approximately 90.87 acres of property and is anticipated for 267 residential units. It's intended that this property will be developed in 3 filings. Filings 1 and 2 have been recorded and infrastructure has commenced. There have been no sales to residents yet, but it's anticipated that by the end of the summer, there will be sales to residents. There are significant regional improvements consisting of Lemon Gulch as well as Crowfoot Valley Road, turning that into a 4-lane arterial, and also funding a traffic signal at Crowfoot Valley Road. Next slide, please. The original service plan was approved in 2018. The town has since adopted a new model plan. As a result, this district is seeking to amend and restate its service plan to be consistent with the town model. We think that this is important since we do not have residents yet. We think having uniformity with other districts that are currently being approved through the town will be important for our residents. Next slide, please. As Kristen stated, the amended and restated service plan will have a debt authorization of just under 27 million. That debt authorization has been determined per the town formula. We will be required to have a disclosure to purchasers consistent with the town model service plan. The debt service mill levy will be 57 mills, and it will allow for the 5 mills for the town infrastructure capital mill levy and the 5 mill town capital and maintenance mill levy. Next slide, please. Again, the district will cause to be recorded in the real property records. Disclosure that will be in a form that gets approved by the town. The disclosure will clearly identify all of the mill levies, and the service plan does provide for a maximum debt imposition term of 40 years, which is consistent with other metropolitan districts throughout the state. Next slide, please. So based on the needs outlined previously and the many protections that the town model has for homeowners, we respectfully request town council approve the amended and restated service plan for Meadowlark Metropolitan District. We're happy to answer any questions, and we also like to thank staff for all their hard work on this.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Williams. Council, do you have any questions to start off for either staff or the applicant, please? We'll start with Ms. Williams, please.
No questions.
Thank you. Let's see. I will go to Ms. Lewis, please. Oh, you raised your hand.
I did. You didn't even notice. Thank you, Ms. Williams. A quick question that I have is who will be creating and providing the disclosure to the property purchasers, the buyers, if you will? Is that is that the title company that you all will be using that will do that at closing, or will they see this like their settlement statement prior to closing?
So our office as general counsel will prepare a disclosure to be recorded in the real property records. And per the service plan, we do need to run that by the town for review. Once the town has approved it, we will record it in the real property records. And when a person goes under contract to buy a house, they will be provided a title commitment. And that title commitment will disclose all of the documents that are of record, including the disclosure that they will get through their title. In addition, our office will work with the home builder or home builders within the development to seek to have their sales process also have a separate disclosure.
Mirroring what your disclosure will be that you produce. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Ms. Williams, any questions?
No.
Mr. Dyack, any questions at this time?
Not at this time.
Right. With that, I will open public comment at 8:53 p.m. I'm going to read a statement here just a second, but first I will state I'm going to open public comment. I will take the questions. I allowed previous commenter on the previous items to speak twice. She did not use all of her time in the first ones, but you do have 3 minutes for public comment. Please get all of your question in there, and we will identify. You know what? I am actually going to pause public comment. Mr. Neer, do you have anything before we go to public comment, sir?
No, I don't, but I'm available to answer any questions that may come up that I'm able to respond to.
In that case, sir, would you mind stating your name and address for the record?
Yes, Glenn Neer, Meritage Homes. My personal address, 3129 Antelope Ridge Trail, Parker, Colorado.
Good to hear, sir. All right, thank you. With that, we open public comment at 8:44. This is a time where citizens are encouraged to speak publicly. The use of video conference technology can be challenging when inviting the public comment. Therefore, to help us proceed in an organized fashion, we request that you use the raise hand feature in Zoom to indicate you would like to speak. If you dialed in by phone, please press *9 to raise your hand to speak. When you're acknowledged for your turn to speak, we request that you introduce yourself by stating your name and address and speak respectively. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes. With that, do we have any public comment, please? I am seeing none right now, but we're going to wait just a minute here as we raise hands or *9s, or someday we'll be back to normal. Okay. Seeing none, I will close public comment at 8:45 and entertain further discussion or motions from town council, please.
I move to approve resolution number 20-032.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Mr. Dyack and a second from Ms. Lewis. Ms. Williams, how do you vote?
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Lewis, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Dyack?
Yes.
And I vote aye. Resolution 20-032 passes 4-0. Next, please.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.317 on second reading.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Ms. Williams and a second from Ms. Lewis. Ms. Williams, how do you vote, please?
Aye.
Ms. Williams, how do you vote? Aye. Ms. Lewis, how do you vote, please?
Yes.
Mr. Dyack?
Yes.
And I vote aye. Ordinance number 9.317 passes unanimously. Seeing no other business in front of town council this evening, we are adjourned at 8:46. I thank everybody very, very much for their patience and for their participation tonight. Town staff, thank you for getting me through this. And we are done. All have a wonderful evening and hope to see you in public soon. Good night, all.